Righty-ho, good evening folks, good evening once again, and welcome back to Suzerain. Right, well we finally got here, do apologise about Friday, Saturday. What an absolute flipping farce is all I can say about that. Anyway, we're here today, business as usual. And I hear that the Baldur's Gate mods that I use have all been updated and fixed, so should be back on that tomorrow. Anyway, today we've got a country to run, and run it we shall. Into the ground probably. But anyway, good to see you all. Welcome. Hope you've had a good weekend. Mine's been not too bad. Thank you for asking. But anyway, right. How did we leave off? What was the last thing that we did? Can anybody remember? I seem to recall a couple of long meetings. We were looking at potential trade partners. Oh, that was it. And then the Chief Justice stopped by for a cup of tea. And we strung him along a little bit. And then we basically made him really angry. We made him essentially become an enemy. We made an enemy of me. So that went well. That went well. Right, okay. We'll just have a look at these reports and see what's going on first. Then we'll check the news out, and then we'll take a look at the repercussions of our actions. Doobie-doobie-doobie-doo. Anyway, let's take a quick peek at these reports. Can't remember if we read these off before the end of the last session. I'll tell you if we did. Hospitals in Narbel overburdened. Months-long waiting lists for terminally ill patients. And the facilities are using outdated technology. Welcome to the UK, mate. Long waiting lists. That lake near Thornbury is looks like it must be beautiful in person. What lake? Oh, this. The Tranquil Sea. It's a very big lake, isn't it? I mean, it's classed as a sea actually, but right. So we got we got more doom and gloom in our lands. So Narbel is suffering from organised crime, lack of healthcare services, low literacy rates, an overburdened police force, and widespread protests. Okay, 333,000 people living there, clearly getting the worst of it all. Leshaven, recession hits farmers again. The farming industry is taking another hit as a result of the recession. 16% of all wheat is rotting in barns due to a lack of buyers. Farmers are requesting additional funds from the government to survive the year. Oh dear. That's not good. What do you want us to do about it? Well, you just said it there. They want us to inject some funds into the place. We may get that option. But we can't just keep throwing money at things, can we now? We've only got a government budget of 3 left over from 7, so got to think carefully about what we're throwing our cash at. Down here in Sana, we have Blue Dish resistance in sanctuaries. Emergent security forces have arrested 3 priests at 2 different Nurity sanctuaries in Sana after finding links to insurgent activities. The report came from an elderly man who wanted to pray in peace, but instead found himself invited to join the Blue Dish Freedom Front by a state-sanctioned priest. Okay. That's priests for you. Can't ever trust a priest, can you? To be fair, that's one priest. One priest. One bad apple. Can't tar them all with the same brush and all that. Right, Earleroy. Young Swords and NFP flags burned. Okay, so a massive counter-protest against Young Swords led by a local politician known to be aligned with the Red Youth resulted in many injuries and property damage. Flags were burned, tensions escalated, but the local police have dispersed the protesters by sundown. More protests. But hey, some good historical tourism once you've cut through all the riots. Goodness me. Right, Boring. Communist books burned in Boring. Now, Boring is the winemaking place. Lots of wine in Boring. Okay, so it's clear to see that things are a little bit, shall we say, tumultuous, I think is the word we can use there. Bit tumultuous across the land right now. No, but nowhere in the country is living it up. Everywhere's got some problem or another. Okay, newspapers. The Whole Sword Post. Red Youth rises, warning bells for Swordland. So they've been rallying in Narbel. Narbel, of course, the place that's suffering with every widespread problem known to man. Education shocking. Hospitals don't even go there. Police, where are they? We don't know. We can't see them. And now this problem. Okay. Need to keep an eye on the Red Youth activities, apparently. Right, Swordland today. School poisoning in Rebel. Where's Rebel? Oh, it's right down here on the border with Lespear. Right, okay. Oh, I've now cocked up here. Where's the reports? Oh, it was a newspaper. Apologies. Getting confused. Thought it was another report. Right, anyway, so what we're saying. School poisoning. Police have arrested the principal of a high school in Rebel in southern Berger, where 12 students died after eating a free meal laced with pesticide. The students aged between 15 and 17 died after eating a lunch of local dish zabla, cooked at the school in a poverty-stricken city. Police have started the investigation to solve the mystery of how the pesticide ended up in the food. Right, D21, welcome once again. This game is basically a political RPG simulator kind of thing. Basically, we are the president of a place, it's all fiction, based on some real-life similarities, you might say. But yeah, we are essentially President Anton Rain. And we are trying to turn the fortunes of Swordland around, because at the moment it's looking a bit dishevelled. If that was real life, yeah, principal poisoning 12 students, that would be some major thing. I mean, yeah. The Economist, upcoming government budget changes. As the top economy experts in the country, we have been watching the upcoming changes to the government budget very closely. President Anton Rain's first internal economical challenge lies ahead, and we will see if he can prove his capabilities as a leader who can think ahead. The potential ramifications of diverting the funding to certain governmental branches has always been the point of contention for any leader, and is no different for this case. We will see if President Rain can hold on to the promises he has given during the election campaign. Well, we can. We will try our best to, but it's a case-by-case basis. Things may crop up that might sway us to change our promises. I mean, I don't know how detrimental to our future breaking a promise or two is, but we'll see. We'll see. The Lashaven Times, workers' unions put pressure for promised benefits. In a tactical move to accelerate the implementation of the promised benefits, the Communist Party of Swordland and the Labour Union of Swordland have declared a labour strike at Gassom. This whole Gassom situation is not good, I don't think. We've seen a few things about Gassom now. The Radical. I don't know. I think there was that three? Was that three? Oh, these new. There's a lot of news here. Right, Radical. Okay, so we've got some gatherings in Narbel, of course. Workers' rights in Narbel, protests. Time for women to stand up. Katharina Horton, who's she? Swordish Labour leader, politician and activist of Bluedish descent, member of the Assembly and the current spokesperson of the Labour Union of Swordland. So it's just basically a workforce union. Oh, I know clicking the paper makes it go faded, but usually I click on it when I've seen how many news articles there were, but I clicked on that one and didn't pay attention to it. Right, I've just come back from football, literally. I finished football at 7:30 and then got straight in my car and drove back here. That's when my throat is a bit buggered because I just played. So you'll have to excuse me. What we're saying about the women's rights here. So the women are rallying too. New campaign was started all over Swordland to establish a framework for women's rights. Swordish League of Women is organising rallies with the support from Minister of Education, Chiara Walder. We've not seen much of her actually. Where's my cabinet? Where's my cabinet? Oh, she is there. And the health minister we haven't seen much of either. We've seen everybody else, apart from him and her. The education minister we should be very, very interested in speaking to because we were pledged to improve education as one of our promises, and yet we still haven't spoken with our education minister. Everybody's equal according to the Swordish constitution, but there are no protections against discrimination, which only reinforces inequality in practice. Questioning Solist education. Here we go. Oh, speaking of education, the newly unveiled SEPA education performance report unveiled a sad reality about Swordland's abysmal status in comparison to many countries. 39th out of the 68 nations. I mean, it's kind of middle of the road. Mid-table. It's not horrendous. Could be improved, of course, but it's not like we were 68 out of 68 nations, is it now? Let's have a look at the glass half full, shall we? The primary gauge of the quality of education is made from a sample of 16-year-olds from each nation and their capacity in fields like mathematics, history, chemistry, and many others. One of the key issues was seen as a strong focus on history and citizenship classes, leaving little time for scientific fields. Minister Walder often mentioned the gaps in the system to her in her assembly debates before she joined the cabinet. This is also supported by one of our editors, a professor from Holsword State who had long been critical of the situation in secondary education. SEPA report reveals the damning truth that Solist education, based on the principles of statism, nationalism, republicanism, poisons the bright minds of our children, and to rid the system from the poison that is ideological indoctrination and let our future generations think for themselves. And in the wider news, Anrakan Archipelago emerges as buffer zone and global trade power. Okay, we've seen somewhat similar to this before. This is like wider news. I mean, it's probably worth reading, but when it's wider news, I'm less interested. Grace nations unite to counter ideological influences, forge parallel financial order. Are we in Grace, by the way? I can't remember which. We were part of, OMEC and the Nine Alliance of Nations. Grace was for the monarchies, right? Kingdoms, yeah. Grace was a kingdom thing, I seem to recall. Monarchies, yeah, there we go. Okay, all very good. Van Horten blames Vargsland for the missing fishing vessel. So Agnolia, who we're potentially going to be allying with, or at least trading with, although we may have to have a debate about our immigration policy, has made a statement denouncing Vargsland for the missing vessel, hull number, blah, blah, blah. Our dutiful coast guards have rescued a crew member of the missing vessel. Through his statement, we had learned that the ship's unfortunate end was none other than the Vagslandian Navy. However, the Prime Minister has refused to disclose the surviving crew member due to fear of assassination attempt. To cover up their hostility. Okay. That's the news, folks. Lots going on. We are going to press onwards just for a second. Right, how was my weekend, Cham, you asked? My weekend's been alright. It's not been full of the most fantastical things, but it's been a steady. So Friday, obviously, I was supposed to stream because my friend was having a nephew's over, but then that plan changed. She was having them Saturday, so I thought, well, I'll stream Saturday instead. Then so I swapped my day. Went to her house on Friday and had literally like 5 drinks. Bailey's, chocolate martini, and then 3 rum and cokes, house doubles, all in the space of about an hour and a half. We just went, threw it down our necks, had a bite to eat, and then kind of slumped onto the sofa to watch TV, and that was probably about 8:30ish, 9ish maybe, and then I woke up and it was midnight. I was like, where the hell has 3 hours gone? Just seems to have vanished into the ether. So that was fun. And then yesterday, I took my mum for breakfast. We went for breakfast, really nice, an all-you-can-eat breakfast buffet in a nice kind of Turkish, Greek / Mediterranean restaurant. It had all kinds of different breakfasts, a bit of continental. It had, of course, the cooked breakfast, and me being very boring, just went for the old bacon and eggs. Sausage, bacon, eggs, beans, toast, the usual cooked stuff. So, didn't try any of the cream cheese or the hams or the cheese, the cheeses and all, some of the other Turkish-based things that looked interesting, but nah. But it was nice. It was only £7.99. Now, don't get me wrong. £7.99 could not even buy you a full English in a lot of cafes nowadays. You go to can I have a full English, please? Which is like 2 bacon, 2 eggs, or a bit of toast, beans, mushroom, tomato, hash browns, which is all what I had yesterday. And you're probably paying close to a tenner in a lot of cafes, especially down south. So to pay $7.99 for an all-you-can-eat affair where you get all of that stuff, and I had all of that stuff, and I had the toast with some jam on it for dessert, and there was other stuff as well that I could have had, granola, muesli, Rice Krispies. $7.99. I think that's quite a bargain. Quite a bargain. And they even did masala tea. I was really impressed. So that was pretty nice. And then I had, then I just did some horse racing. And then this is where things yesterday got a bit turned on the head, because my friend did have her nephews yesterday. But I've not seen them for a little while, in fact. So I thought, you know what, I'll just pop in, say hello to him, because I've not seen him for a little while, and then end up staying over. So, because they all wanted to go for a walk, and they brought over their Oculus, this kind of VR headset thing, and I've never put one on my head to this day. So I was like, oh, let me try. And let me tell you, talk about strange. If you've never done a VR thing before, first time you put it on, it's weird. Completely weird. So yeah, did some VRing yesterday, went for a walk, did some cooking, and then before we knew it, it was 10:30. So then I came home and fell asleep by about 11:15. And then today I've just done some horse racing, and of course played some football. So that's my weekend in a nutshell. Not too shabby. Next week, of course, is a busy week. I'm in Birmingham for 3 days. I recorded a session of Alan Wake earlier, so that's going up on Tuesday. Baldur's Gate will be streamed tomorrow, so it'll only be Wednesday and Thursday where you probably don't see anything else. Resident Evil in VR. So yeah, this was obviously kind of like makeshift games. They weren't like specific games. They were just like kind of games, I assume, made for the Oculus, rather than being proper games that you could play in a VR fashion. But it was, one of them was a boxing game, and I actually punched the wall. You're supposed to put like a boundary on the floor so that you know roughly where you are in the room. Well, I'm obviously new to it all, so I was just arms flailing, and oh, what the hell? Punched the wall. And then if you go out, if you stay in the boundary, you can see all of the VR stuff. But if you go out the boundary, your view changes to the room, so you can see the room and you see people and see like normally through the cameras in the headset if you step outside of the boundary. So it's like it's really weird. It's really strange. I won't be buying one anytime soon, but there's a bit of a novelty value. It was quite fun. Anyway, so that was that. Now just give me 1 second. Just need to tell people that I'm not going to be playing football this week because I'm not here. Oh, barbecue with Frank. Okay, so we've got legislative debate on the repeal of the EPA. The Grand National Assembly was the stage of a contentious debate today over the proposed repeal of the Energy Protection Act of 1932. So this is the whole 20% stuff. It's work meetings. It's the manager's meeting, and I've also got some other stuff to do as well. So we were supposed to be going for 2 days, but I've tagged an extra day onto it because I've got quite a lot of stuff to get done. And it makes sense to get it done face to face with my fellow training manager. So I didn't punch a hole in it. It was fine. Just punched the wall, and he also hit the ceiling as well. I don't know what the game was called, but basically it was like tree houses and trees and all kinds of stuff, and I was kind of reaching up to do something, and I just went, and they were like, oh god, that's the roof, that's the ceiling. I better take this off my head. I'm going to cause some damage to this place. Right, arguments both for and against the repeal were put forth, with Friends Richter of the PIFJIB and USP reformist wing leader Albin Clavin leading the faction advocating for the repeal. They argued that such a move would foster economic growth and increase foreign investment. However, United Swordland Party and National Front Party, under the leadership of Gloria Tory, respectively, defended the act vehemently, citing the need for Swordland to protect its strategic industries from foreign control. The final decision now hinges on the vote, which will be held in the following month. So at some point, I think we are going to have to deal with that situation. Oh, it was a Saturday afternoon. My first break from work in what felt like years, and the weather couldn't have been more perfect. Trying to keep my mind off the upheaval sparked by the circus assassination, I lit the backyard grill. It's amazing we've got time for a barbecue in all this mess. But hey, I do love a good barbecue. Do love a good barbie. Get that fire lit, get those sausages on, burgers, chicken, get it all on. And who is coming to this great shindig of ours, I wonder? Monica and Dina were out shopping for craft supplies, and I'd given the staff the day off. So it was just me and my son. The boys bonding over a barbecue. What could possibly go wrong? So, went to football today. So we play football today, and I felt in the mood to play football today. Earlier on, I'm talking round about, I don't know, maybe about sort of 12-ish. I decided that I was going to do 2 lots of exercise today because I've had a cheat day on Friday, I had a cheat day on Saturday, although the cheat days weren't that cheaty. I didn't do too badly. Bit of alcohol involved, but not too much food. Did really well, in fact. And I also had a cheat day on Wednesday as well. Although again, that wasn't a major cheat day. But I didn't track my calories. So I thought, do you know what, I'm going to be really good for today and tomorrow, because then I'm off to Birmingham, and it's very difficult to be good when you're away from home, especially when you're not around your usual foodstuffs, and you're going to be buying most of your food you buy in restaurants, or food that you buy to have on the go isn't usually the best for you. But so I thought it would be really good today. So I've been a really good day. I had a lovely breakfast. I made myself an omelette with bacon, cheese, onion, and green pepper, with paprika, garlic granules, and some cayenne pepper. Where I fried off all the things in first to get all the flavours and the oils released. Then I put the eggs in, did all the stuff under the grill, finished it off. It was delicious. Had that with some beans and sausages. That was my breakfast, relatively healthy. And then for lunch I had, we made some keema, basically, curried mince, yesterday, which turned out absolutely delicious. So my mate gave me some to have for lunch today, so I had that, just a little potful on 2 slices of toast. Delicious. And then we're having a roast chicken dinner in about half an hour. So food-wise today, been really good. Really good. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to exercise twice. I'm going to do my insanity, so I did that this morning. And then I thought, right, we're going to play football. And when I thought to myself, when I play football, I mean I'm playing football. I'm running around that pitch, and like I've never run around for a long time. I feel full of energy. I want to release that energy. And we played, and we won 10-0. I scored 5, and I did run around like a lunatic. And I was really, really pleased. So when I step on the scales tomorrow morning, I'm hoping to see some positivity. We'll see. We'll see. Hopefully I can report another pound loss at the very least. I'd be very happy with that. I think it's been a steady week. But anyway, I digressed slightly. Barbecue. I wasn't sure how my son felt about me at the moment, but I did know how he felt about barbecued ribs. Our cook had left some marinating in the refrigerator. It's nice having your own cooks, isn't it? Sure enough, as soon as Frank glimpsed the grill and the meat, he stepped outside to join me. Come to spend some quality time with your old man, have you? Or have you just come to nosh on the barbecue ribs? Sure, if you can spare a few minutes out of your busy schedule. Hey up, hey up. No need for that. I'm the president, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? It's not as if I'm sat tossing it off here. I'm running a country, pal. Doing my best. This is what I'm thinking. I'm preoccupied with matters of national importance. That's what I'm thinking. But we'll play it softly, softly. Look, I'm sorry. I haven't been around very often lately, you know. But we're here now. I'm making time for you now. Let's embrace now, okay? Yeah? It's okay. I know you've got the most stressful job in the country, and you've got to feed your family on top of it all. We both chuckled, and I turned to tend the fire. Just a bit of banter. Well, it's fine. We'll let him off. Here, let me try. Ooh, hang on. Now, if Anton Rain's like anything like me, nobody touches my barbecue when I'm under control. Get your hands off. I'm in charge here. I'm the one with the pinion and the stoking pokey tools and the flippy burger tool. Nobody else touches them when I'm in control here. Bloody hell. It's a recipe for disaster. Somebody else meddling with your barbecue. Everything is where it needs to be. I know where it's hottest. I know where I'm putting foodstuffs to let them cool, or maybe just to cook through without burning. There's different levels. There's a higher level, there's a lower level barbecue. If you want to just cook things a bit quicker, slower, it's all a process. Somebody else meddling in that, dangerous business. And I sincerely hope that this barbecue, Mr. Anton Rain, is one that's lit by coals and not one of those electric jobbies. Which clearly aren't barbecues, they're just portable stoves, if you ask me. But I digress. He grabbed the fan and started quickly waving it over the coals. I mean, it is the 50s. The fire roared to life. You can't beat a coal barbecue, I'm sorry. Sorry, you electric barbecue people, but no. He turned to look at me with a grin on his face, as if he was expecting praise. Don't act like you've done something special. No, we're gonna just temper the excitement here. Not bad, son, not bad. Not bad. We can't be praising him too much because we're the chief barbecuer and we don't want to do ourselves out of a job. So, it was not bad. Not bad. Okay. Still a bit of improvement required, but good start. Thank you, sir. It is in our utmost interest to fulfil our duties with precision. The grilling shall commence in exactly 1 minute and 32 seconds. He's getting into this, isn't he? That was a spot-on impersonation of Lucian. We looked at each other for a second, then burst out laughing. Mr. Punctual Lucian, after all, yes. I realised my throat was parched. There was a 6-pack of beer in the kitchen. Now, interesting fact. In the UK, it's not illegal to, if you're, I can't remember what the age is, I think it's 10. I think it's 10. That's the minimum age that you can have alcohol with your meal in your own home in the UK. I think it's 10. It's surprisingly low that you can give you it's 5. It's not 5, is it? Is it 5? I mean, I knew it was low. I didn't think it was that low. I thought it was 10. 10 is the age of criminal responsibility. It might well be 5. You might be right, but yeah, it's quite surprisingly low. But you can have an alcoholic drink in your own home and be perfectly fine. But yeah, exactly, with your meal. So yeah, why don't you bring us both a couple of beers? And I actually think there's 2 ways to look at this. If you make it all a big taboo thing up until the age of 18, then teenagers are just going to sneak it, get it behind closed doors, probably sip on it, ooh, and make, it's a big nip taboo thing, isn't it? Whereas if you're like, right, hey, have a beer now. Yeah, oh, really? Yeah, have one. See what you think of it. And make it not like a taboo, and you're having a beer with your dinner or with your barbecue at age 13 or whatever it is. My mantra is it's making it less taboo and therefore less likely it's going to go sneaking it in, feel the need to have to sneak it behind the bike sheds kind of thing, Yeah, it's just beer. There's nothing fancy about it. Nothing, that's that. It's just beer. Just, yeah, have one. Probably why I've not got kids. But I also find that when you're kind of that age, that all alcohol tastes crap. Beer, rum, or they might like a fruity cider or a WKD or something that's like a poppy type alcohol. But when it comes to like these kind of things, I think as you're at your age, I think your taste buds haven't developed properly. And it's not until you're in your late teens, early 20s that you start to get a taste for it, is my mantra. I mean, I didn't like rum at all, probably until my 20s. And then as I got older and into my 30s, then I really started to like rums as my taste buds changed, and I appreciated all the different flavours of rum that you can have, the spice rums, the dark rums, the white rums. You know, the different notes, the vanillas, the bananas, the cinnamons, and all the rest of it. So yeah. 1617, you can drink when accompanied in public, but under that, it's up to the premises of the parents' consent. Illegal for under 5, regardless of it. Oh, so it is 5. You were right. Well done. Well done. So you can even have it 1617 when accompanied in public. Although I'm sure that some premises are quite strict on that. You know, think 25 and all that kind of jazz. But anyway, so long story short, we're gonna ask him to bring us both a beer. Channel our inner share and share alike. He looked at me in disbelief. See? A beer? Yeah. Get yourself one, son. Find out what you're missing out on. Can't buy it, can drink it in public. You mean I can't? But Mum told me. He stopped himself quickly, ran inside and returned with 2 beers. We cracked them open, clinked the bottles, and gazed out at the city skyline. For a moment, my thoughts flashed back to my childhood and my relationship with my own father. Illegal age is 19 in Ontario. Really? That's an odd age. It's usually 18 or 21, then 19? My father was a poor man who struggled to provide for us on his meagre income. He put me to work on the farm long before I was Frank's age, and even then we couldn't always make ends meet, yet we were always close as a family. Now that I was the president, I knew Frank would never face the same hardships I had. I couldn't deny that I felt a bit jealous. I can't remember my first beer, actually. I do remember at the age of about sort of maybe 12, 13, maybe even a bit younger than that, but my mum and dad used to have parties here quite regularly, and the house was literally, when I think about it now, it's quite sad really, because obviously my father passed away in 2010, my mother's is now older, a lot of friends that they used to have over have all died. It tends to happen when you get older. But at one point, you know, this house used to be bustling with people. You know, every sort of a couple of months, my mum and dad would have a party here. The kitchen would be full. There would be a bar set up in the kitchen, living room, front room, full. Get people out in the garden, front garden, back gardens. You know, just chatting, drinking, smoking. It was a hive of activity. And me and my friend, who family still live 3 doors down. He's moved about 10-minute drive away now. He's got his own wife and kids, same age as me, but we grew up since the age of 10. Used to come over when we used to have these parties, and we'd be playing on my computer, my Mega Drive or my PlayStation, whatever I had at the time, and then we'd run down and be like, oh, and I'd run down, go into the pantry or wherever the alcohol was being kept, and I ran upstairs with a can of Skol, and we'd share it. Exactly like I'm just trying to say here, whereas, you know, if it's all taboo, run downstairs, nick one, and come back upstairs, drinking your Skol, thinking you're adults. That was probably my first beer, you know. And the thing was, even then, I didn't like the taste of it, and I don't like the taste of beer now. But I still drank it. Why? Because it was taboo. Well, this tastes horrible. But you know what? I'm going to drink it. Because I shouldn't do. Yeah. Good old Skol. I think Skol is still a thing. I don't think it's as popular as it once was, but I think it is still out there. Anyway. Dad, can I ask you something? Go on. We are family. Can ask anything. It's just, I feel like there's so much you've been hiding from me about your past and about what's going on right now. Like at dinner that night after the ball, you told me everything was under control, but it wasn't, was it? I know what happened in the 20s. We learned all about it in school. Now, with the protests and the riots, is it going to be the same thing? Dad, is there going to be a civil war in Swordland? No. I'll say nothing or not. I hope not. That's as honest as we can be. We can't promise. Can never ever promise, because it always involves factors outside of our control. And I always hate promising things that you've got no control over. And that goes for real life, you know. I don't tend to promise things like this. This will never happen. Or I can probably say, well, I will try to not let it happen. But we don't have that option here. It's not worded like that. So we shall simply say, we sincerely hope not. He let out a sigh. But what was it like back then? Uncle Peter said the two of you went through a lot. I'm not a kid anymore, you can tell me. Before I could gather my thoughts, a familiar images started flashing before my eyes. Images of soldiers advancing towards me and my friends, weapons drawn. Of people I knew, friends and neighbours, being dragged through the streets and murdered in alleyways. And that little girl's face. Oh yes, crushed beneath the tracks of a tank. Well, we're going to be completely honest with him. Son, those were dark times. It seems like it. Okay, but you're nearly a grown man, and you're now drinking beer, so, you know what? Let's talk about it. Let's get it all out in the open. Frank leaned forward in his chair, his eyes wide. Oh, bloody hell. You see? Bonding time. Tell Frank about the coup. Tell Frank about the Civil War. Well, we'll start with the coup. It was time to tell him of the coup of 27. I was barely older than you are now. Studying economics at the Leshavens Business School. I was a freshman, excited and young. I had just left the classroom to go back home as I heard the sound of multiple vehicles approaching the campus gates. As they got closer, I realised they were military, camouflage trucks and tanks carrying hundreds of soldiers. The same soldiers that were supposed to protect Swordland citizens. They pointed their guns at us. They immediately took control of the facilities. One of my friends asked what was going on and was arrested immediately. More people got angry and gathered in protest. Frank kept listening, shocked. Look on his face. Tell him about the soldiers beating. Yep, just tell him. He wants it all. He's going to get it all. Unfiltered. I was there with the protesters as they declared martial law. We marched towards them. They threatened to use force, but we stood our ground. So they started beating anyone they saw, including me. The physical wounds took a few weeks to heal, but the mental scars, they've stayed with me to this day. I was lucky. No, we stayed strong. I tried my best to stay strong. Some of my friends were shot. Many more were arrested. I can't forget the screams to this day, but I am proud not to have faltered. Frank leaned back in his chair, his shoulders slumped heavily. And we continue, just as he's been given the old 1-2 combo, we're going to continue and finish him off properly. We're now going to tell him about the Civil War. Oh yes. Right after you met your mother, we both joined the student council to push for change after the coup of 27. Eventually, I became convinced I wasn't doing enough, so I joined. Now wait for it, Frank. I actually joined the Red Youth. Then one night, it happened. Two different factions in the army, one of them led by fascist General Ludrin and the other by socialist General Ricard, started fighting each other. It was a bloodbath. Nowhere was safe. Frank shifted in his seat, visibly uncomfortable. Probably he's heard enough of the story, but you wanted to hear it, you're getting all of it, pal. So we organised a protest. One day, in support of Ricard. In our minds, he was the better of the two and a true socialist. And then the girl. Do we need all of it? All of it. I paused, thought, and then thought, nope, all of it. And continued. It was horrible. They were waiting for us. Soldiers started beating and shooting at everyone, ploughing their tanks into the crowd. Amid the chaos, there was a girl. I never forgot her face. I tried to save her, but I couldn't reach her in time. Frank's face had grown pale. He turned his eyes away from me. Maybe we went a step too far with the story, but hey, you know, you want it, you're getting all of it. But that's enough for today, Frank. I think I've given you enough there to ponder. Now, you asked, is that happening? Well, I'm going to do my level best to ensure that that does not happen here. Okay? Enjoy your beer. It's okay, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked you about it. Oh no, it's fine. Really, it's just fine. I know I don't understand how easy my life is sometimes. One more thing though. I know that you joined the Red Youth back then. Do you mind if I ask why? I had to survive somehow in the environment. That was a choice I made. Would I make it again? I don't know. When you're facing such trials and tribulations, sometimes you do things. Frank raised his eyebrows, his curiosity still not satisfied, but sensing my reluctance to go on, he simply nodded. Sorry for bombarding you with questions. I know I complain sometimes, but my problems are nothing compared to what you went through. What problems? Do you know what? No. I'm here to listen to them, no matter what they are. So, if you need to talk to me, then talk. You're damn right. You damn people. You youngsters don't know you're born. Before Frank could say anything else, I heard the front door unlock. Dina and Monica's voices and the sounds of rustling shopping bags filled the house. All right, I'll be upstairs until dinner. Frank went in and dashed upstairs. Quite important question is, where's the beer? I took a long sip from my beer, looking at the city and the now setting sun. I hope that talking to Frank about my past had been the right decision. Part of me felt as if some sort of burden had been lifted. But I had the same nightmares again that night. Oh dear. I don't know, but it's been really mild these past sort of 3 or maybe even like 4 or 5 days. It's been well, for this time of year, 12 degrees is mild, and I'm sat here, and obviously the heating comes on between 6 and half 9, I think, or maybe even 6 and 10, I can't remember. And I'm sat here in a big fleecy set of pajamas, and the heating's on because it's mild outside. I'm actually sweltering. 16 degrees in London. 16 degrees in February. That is very pleasant. Yeah, I'm absolutely sweating here. Absolutely sweating. 11 news articles. What the hell? Right, we've got an incident in Narbel. Not a surprise given how Narbel is going off the rails here. But let's have a look at the reports first. So, prisoners riot in Antel Rock Prison. So, yeah, it's always made. I read about Antel Rock Prison, and it made me laugh because is it based on San Francisco's prison, Alcatraz? Who knows? But basically, a prison riot has started in Ward C. Political prisoners. Oh, and a warden was killed by a Bluedish political prisoner. 4 guards and 21 prisoners died. 134 were injured. That is a major incident. What on earth is going on around here? Right, yeah, I think one person is known to have escaped from Antel Rock Prison. Just the one. It's not the easiest places to get out of, apparently. But somebody managed it. Yeah, there it is there. Antel Rock, you can just see it right there. This little rock there. Right. Morna. The Mayor of Morna has reported that their industrial output numbers this year are 12% lower than last year. They are requesting additional support to improve their industrial capacity, including machinery and personnel, to combat the downward trend. With the construction of several new factories in Morna, the Mayor stated his belief that an economic upturn in the city is still possible if government investments succeed. Was he escaping Sean Connery? Could well have been. According to current projections, Morna is set to lose an additional 2% of industrial output next year. Okay, so Morna needs some investment. Which place doesn't need some bloody investment, right? I mean, lots of places need investment. USP report on reforms. Many of the members of the USP, led by Albin Clevin and the reformist wing, clarified their demands from the government in the party congress for the upcoming constitutional reform. Albin stated that without ministry reforms, they won't be able to stand behind the new reform package. Ministry reforms. Interesting. What ministry reforms do you flipping want? Okay, in world news, I can just click on that and it goes straight down to the regional map. But why would I do that? Right, we've got something specific about Rhesia. Rhesian Oil and Gas has extended a co-investment proposal for Swordland's ambitious Gasom energy venture. King Romus emphasised the bilateral benefits of such a cooperation and its potential in bolstering the region's energy security. A collaborative venture could form the bedrock of a stronger economic alliance, further binding our nations. Interesting. Let's not forget that Rhesia have ties to Rumburg, so maybe actually getting some good stuff out of Rhesia might soften the blow with Rumburg, actually. Who knows? But we've got to sort out this whole 20% EPA stuff, I reckon, at some point. I reckon they're going to table the motion and we can either veto it or not. It's going to be one of those situations, I think. Anyway, the Arcasian Treaty Organisation has committed significant financial and military aid to Agnolia. Now, this is very interesting, because we are going to try to ally ourselves with Agnolia too. So if Arcasia are supporting Agnolia with financial and military aid, then we might get the benefits of said military aid if they ally with us. Interesting. Okay. We shall keep an eye on that. Right, here we go. So, this is where it's all kicking off. Narbel. Presidential visit to Narbel. So we have felt the need to visit this place with its horrific problems. Right, okay. Where? Up there. That's almost like, you know, Andorra. Or what else have we got? Like the Vatican, which is actually it's like a proper city-state, isn't it? You know, Monaco. Tiny, tiny little countries. Anyway, we are off to visit Narbel. We'll be going to Jimmy Spice's. Now, I went there last time, right? And everybody that I said, because when they asked, oh, where did you go for dinner? Because obviously you get an allowance, right? You get £26 allowance for an evening meal. And I'm staying there for 2 nights, so I'll have 2 meals. And when I went there last time, the one and only time, and I mentioned I'd gone there, people that, especially like people that lived in Birmingham, were like, oh, turn the nose up. Oh my God, you went there? But when I went there, it was really nice. It was really nice. I can't remember what I had now. I had something off the grill. I can't remember what it was. I think I might have had lamb. I mean, it must have been lamb chops because I love lamb chops. I had lamb chops which were cooked freshly on the grill. It's not like they were sat festering in any pots. They were cooked on the grill. So fresh, delicious, cooked to order. But in the curries that I had and all the starters that I had, and I've eaten a lot of Indian food, right? I'm quite well versed in Indian food. And it was delicious. And like the naan breads were all cooked fresh. So why people turn their nose up? I think some people just, if you mention to anybody that, oh, I've gone to an all-you-can-eat buffet, they look at you like, oh, like snobs. I'm like, look, I'm not above going to an all-you-can-eat buffet, because sometimes you just want a selection of stuff, you know. I'll try a bit of that, I'll try a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of the other, and if I don't like it, I don't have to eat it, and if I do like it, I'll go back for some more. You know, I love a good buffet, me. Now the place that you can Google this if you're that interested, folks. But there's one place in Leeds that I haven't been yet, and that I really want to go and visit, and it's called Blue Sakura. I don't know if it's a chain and it's got other restaurants in other cities, or if it's just a unique place to Leeds. But it's all you can eat. It's Asian kind of fusion, which means it's got Japanese food, it's got Chinese food, it's got Thai food. And when I say it's got a hell of a lot of some of like really good stuff, and it's kind of, although it's all you can eat, it's an all you can eat where they bring everything to you a la carte. So you just pick it off the menu and they bring it to you, you eat it, and then you can order more and they bring it, etc. It's not sat in pots, in trays, in those little heated things where sometimes they don't come out hot enough. That's the only drawback with these places. It's all cooked to order, and some of the stuff, if you look at the menu, it's proper top tier food. Soft shell crab, scallops, lamb chops. There was umpteen things on that list. I was like, oh, I'd have that. You know, lots of seafood based stuff. Sushi, of course, which I'm not a big fan of. We've got the teppanyaki grill, and then you've got all of the proper traditional Chinese style curries, your chicken, your curries, your sweet and sours and all that kind of stuff. Thai curries. It's just got an absolutely extensive menu, and two people that have been there that I work with have both said it's absolutely fantastic. And then I looked at the reviews, and it got some rave reviews as well in general. So I was like, oh, now I didn't go there. I booked it. 1 minute. I booked to go for my mum's birthday. We went to Amsterdam, remember, on the Friday. I booked for the Wednesday to go there, and I got COVID, so I had to cancel it. So I was going to go there, but never got there, and I've not been back since. So yeah, it's on my list to still get there. So within the next month, and definitely before we go on holiday to Turkey, I'm going to treat my mum and go there one Friday evening, because Friday, some of the dishes are only served on a weekend or on a Friday night. Like if you went some random Saturday lunchtime, some of the dishes on the menu are only served in an evening, for example. So I want the full menu available to me. So I'm going to have to go on a Friday night to get the best out of it, or a Saturday night, one or the other. So that is going to be my plan for the next sort of 4 weeks, to kind of squeeze me and my mum in there at some point. Now, it's not cheap for a buffet. I think it's about 45 quid per head, which you might think, oh, that's a bit expensive. But when you're looking at the quality of the different food you get, you know, a 2-course meal nowadays in any restaurant is not going to cost you shy of 40 quid. You know, a main for about 12 to 15 quid. If you get like a side dish with it, or some rice or some kind of breads with it, that's probably another 5-6 quid. That's 20 quid. If you get a star, it's probably about 8 quid. You know, it soon racks up. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to go get my dinner, and then we're going to see how bad it is in Narble. Okay, folks. See you later, Cham. Right. I'll keep this knife here. It's a rather big plate of food. I mean, if I could show you this plate of food, it looks absolutely delicious. I'll just run you through it, because I'm going to have to eat this at some point. I've got chicken, roast chicken dinner today, so I've got nice chicken leg and breast combined, you know, the kind of L-shaped little chicken leggy thing. A bit of chopped breast. We've got some mashed swede, which I do like swede actually, quite a lot. Bit of butter and pepper in it, delicious. Roast potatoes, broccoli and cauliflower doused in a cheese sauce, and some carrots. Smells delicious, looks delicious. My mouth is watering because I've not eaten since about 4 o'clock. No, that's a lie. When did I have my dinner? About 3:30 it was. But anyway, we can't eat that right now because Narble needs our assistance. Right, we'll get through this, and then I'll have to start eating. So we might have to do a bit. You might have to do a bit of self-reading for 15 minutes or so. But anyway, I was travelling to the snow-covered city of Narbel in the Nargis region for the Rural Development Forum organised by the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education. Is that both of the people that I mentioned about at the start of the stream that I've not spoken to yet? Oh, they've just randomly appeared. As if by magic. Their ears must have been burning. The mountainous city of Narbel had gritty tones to it. It was mostly regarded as one of the poorer cities in Swordland. Its people were hardy and wary. Even after the discovery of natural resources in the area, years of neglect by the central government were apparent on the buildings and the general infrastructure. Natural resources, namely gas and oil, were now under the control of Gasom, which elevated the corporation to a place of power. My task in this forum was mainly symbolic. Fake smiles and handshakes with oil barons, meeting with local politicians, but most importantly of all, making sure that Narbel did not feel like it was forgotten by the government. Look, anything we're doing, we're not doing for token gestures here, pal. We're going to make sure that we do something tangible, Mr. Rain. The scenery so far, however, was a reflection of Narbel's neglect. Main roads to the city were not maintained well. There were many bumps and empty, discoloured spots in the asphalt. Navigating and swerving to avoid the inconveniences, our motorcade finally started nearing the city. As if my discomfort from the bumpy ride was apparent to him, Sergei rolled down the partition window. "We will be arriving at Hotel West in a few minutes, sir. I do apologise about the ride." "Thanks for letting me know, Sergei." "Any time. It's my duty." After a moment, Sergei started to smile under his moustache. That you were smiling at, Sergei? "Sir, I just wanted to say, it has been great these last 2 months. As you know, my wife Susan recently gave birth to our son, sir, and now my daughter just started at a very good high school in Holsword." "Oh, that's great news, Sergei. I'm happy for you." "I appreciate it, sir, truly. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to afford a good private school if she scored less in the entrance exams, but I shouldn't have made my insecurity get to me. Erica outsmarts me all the time. I'm very proud to have a daughter like her." "Well, I also hope that Dina will grow to be like her mother someday." "Ah, I'm sure she will, sir. After all, she is the daughter of a lion and a lioness. My daughter looks up to the First Lady for inspiration, and it's not just limited to my daughter, sir. She is an inspiration for almost all women in the country. But at the same time, it must be hard for the First Lady as well. All this attention, adjusting to this new high-profile life, and a husband that has great responsibility." "Ah, yes. You are quite right, Sergei. You are quite right. It must be, sir. We sometimes forget the important people in life between all the responsibility and rush. You know, those we care for." "Yeah. Do you know what? He speaks the truth. You get caught up in everything that you're doing. I'm busy, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm working here, I'm working late, I'm busy, I'm can't..." You barely devote time to your closest friends and your family as much as you should. You don't have to be a president running a country to fall into that trap either, do you? Sergei continued after a moment of silence. Have I told you, sir? We named my son George. The doctor said he is very healthy, and thankfully so is my wife. Tell me more about Susan. Yeah, a bit of chit-chat, get to know our driver's family, showing interest. Yeah, interested. Very good, I must tend to my documents. No, that sounds a bit chit-chat here. Oh, she has a good heart. Her family comes from Sana. And in Sana down here. So they're a little more traditional. She's beautiful, of course, but what I really admire is her selflessness. A respectable trait. It should be mutual. That is what matters most. Hello, Hauler, welcome. I've already started thinking about their university education, especially Erica. I want to send her to a good private school, but with the current state of the economy, it's got to be hard for us. Yeah, it's hard for everyone. Again, we can't promise we're going to fix the economy, because at the moment, we're not fixing anything. If anyone can fix the economy, that's you, Mr. President. The car hit a major pothole on a bump, which lifted us up into up in our seats for a second. Whoa! Jolted us to reality. Oh God! What the hell do you think you're doing, Sergei? You should be driving more smoothly here. Yeah. I think probably we can't hold our tongue now. This is unacceptable. As we hit our head on the roof of the car, poof! Oh, for God's sake! We need to invest in infrastructure here. We can't have this going on. People living like this. It's just not right. I agree, sir. We still need to drive back tomorrow unless you use one of those new helicopter things. The motorcade began approaching the hotel. The Hotel West was supposedly the best hotel in Narvel. The large 25-storey main building was undoubtedly one of the taller and more expensive buildings in the city. It towered over the nearby slums and had been a target for protests when it was first built. Oh, you can actually send Sergei's daughter to private... Oh my God, that's cool. Obviously, we can't send anybody anywhere with our lack of savings. A crowd was gathered in front of the hotel with the welcoming committee at its centre. As we approached the red carpeted entrance, I could see the mayor of Narbel and his top aides. Sergei got out of the car and opened the door. He bowed his head respectfully and gestured towards the entrance. Wasted the money on an investment. Now, Hurt Cupboard. Waste is a strong word. Invested that money is what we should be saying. Because if that turns out to be a wise investment, we could be sending our kids to private school. Well, mind you, they'll probably get there anyway with the president. But we could invest our fortunes as we wish in the future. Thank you. Have a good day, Mr. President. As soon as I left the vehicle, the fresh air of Narbel filled my lungs. Almost immediately, everyone present in the crowd flocked over to me with an excessive display of courtesy, smiles and handshakes, while I donned the mask of a politician. This is the mask. Hat, glasses, beard. As I said, we're not seen in public other than looking like this. This is us. We've probably got multiple of the same outfit, because obviously we can't keep washing the same one. So we must have like 10 of these hung up in the wardrobe. You open his wardrobe. It's 10 of the same suit. Well, naturally. Why would it be a different suit? This is my look. But we've not done anything. We just arrived at now, but we've not done anything. And it's 14 news articles. Right, I'm going to take this opportunity to go through these 14 news articles and these 2 more reports, and then we will see what we're doing in Narble. Oh, we're going to have a briefing on the welfare situation, which looks quite bad, quite grim. But anyway, I'm going to mute myself so I can eat in peace, and we're just going to have a look at some of the news. So you're going to have to read yourself as we go along, but it'll be fine. Good grief. Hopefully. Like these, right? I can't remember reading any of these. Anyway, we'll scan through them. Right, there we go. I've eaten that obviously a bit probably too quickly, but nonetheless, bloody lovely. Right, something interesting to note. Franz Richter of the Pith Jib, continuing to bark his demands for this reform package, wants the implementation of term limits. Limited decrees, I'm not sure what that means, but term limits, clearly, I'm well aware what that means. Obviously, at the moment, we have unlimited terms. So he wants term limits. I could be on board with that. It'll have to be a decent amount. I think 3, maybe. I mean, usually standard fare is 2, but okay, we'll bear that in mind. So there you go. That was the news that you all read at your leisure, or not, as the case may have been. Nothing really, other than just a lot of doom and gloom, isn't it? You know, a lot of doom and gloom. People are talking about the energy situation and the 10%, and there was a bit of rumblings about that 10% voting thing, where if you don't get 10% of the vote, you can't have people in the assembly. That, you know, there's just a bit of general discontent with various little bits and bats that we just need to bear in mind. But otherwise, nothing that seemed to be massively pressing. Right. Let's brief ourselves on the situation in Narbel. Okay. So, I arrived eventually after dodging 15,000 potholes on the way. I arrived at the meeting room for my talk with Chiara and Pascal. Before beginning, I took a moment to appreciate the view from the balcony. The mountains of Narbel were completely covered with snow. So this is our health minister, Pascal Bennywall, who's walked up to us. My Minister of Health was, ironically, somewhat portly, having gained a few pounds since his breakthrough as a best-selling writer, but his authority on social affairs could not be questioned. So we've not seen this guy before, so let's take a quick look at him and his biography here. So this is Pascal, an author and Swedish government official, who's the Minister of Health, Social Affairs and Labour. Started in 1949, so relatively young when it comes to his political career, appointed by Alfonso. He also served as president of the University of Valgan and Gelsord School of Medicine. Before his political career, he wrote 8 books, one of which was a bestseller, called The Unfortunate Man, where he tells the story of a family of poverty-stricken miners. He became known as a writer who depicts the struggles of Swedish life from a realistic frame, which brought him praise from the middle class and the civil rights groups. He was elected to the Assembly in 1945 and advocated for new workplace safety regulations and a workers' compensation programme. He was an important force in the shaping of the nation's first social security policies. Initially a supporter of Alfonso's programmes, Pascal eventually turned against the free market reforms and the president's management of them, stating that it drained badly needed resources away from welfare programmes. He gave his support to Anton Rein in 1953 and was appointed as minister after the elections. Okay, so he's quite against free market reforms. Otherwise, yeah, doesn't seem like a bad fella. Such a spectacular view, he says. And here is Chiara Walder, the Minister of Education, who joined us on the balcony dressed in a sky blue pantsuit. Her preference for trousers over dresses had made her the subject of much palace gossip, but it didn't seem to bother her in the slightest. Right, so we should be working quite closely with her because we're trying to swing the fortunes of our education, aren't we? So, Minister of Education, Technology and Research. Served as an independent MP prior to becoming a minister. Aggressively promoting educational reforms and supporting socialist policies. Although she has been targeted many times for her ideals, she remains to be a popular politician, particularly among women. She is a staunch supporter of women's rights and slowly gaining fame among the reformists for her progressive rhetoric. Before her political career, she taught philosophy and political sciences in several major universities, including the Shaven Business School and Dare University of Culture. She's wrote articles that have been published in journals worldwide. Okay. Well, they both seem like the kind of people that we could probably get on quite well with. Okay. Spectacular indeed. But if you look at the opposite direction, you will see what Sol's decades of neglect did to the city. Most of the people living in Narbel are workers, farmers, and their wives and children. They're breaking their backs for close to no pay, all thanks to greedy corporations. Yes, well, we have set out to be a man of the people, so we will indeed strive to work for the betterment of the working class. I'm glad we see eye to eye on the issue. If you look past the view, you can see the real problems. Real problems like poverty. Pascal nodded gravely. This was a subject he knew quite a bit about himself. His best-known books were about the plight of Swordland's less fortunate, drawing from his own past growing up in squalor. Well put, Miss Walder. I don't need to tell you about my own experiences with poverty, and you've been through similar hardships yourself, Mr. President. Yes, we have all gone through difficult times, it seems. True, but some lives are more difficult than others, like ours was, and still is for hundreds of thousands in Swordland. You don't have to have been born poor to sympathise with the plight of the impoverished, much as you don't have to have been born a woman to recognise Swordland's need for parity among the sexes. Parity among the sexes shouldn't be our first priority. Look at how many high-ranking female politicians our country has. Appearances can be deceiving, Pascal. Her voice sounded bitter. Think about how Lilias Graff got to her current position. I don't necessarily believe the rumours about her and Saul, but she could never have risen so high if she didn't parrot his cause. Gloria Tory? Is it an accident that the first female Assembly Speaker is such a staunch Conservative? And then there was Alfonso's habit of promoting women to prominent positions to give Swordland a progressive sheen, while accomplishing nothing in reality. While in many places like Narbel are denied any opportunity to advance, the government can use a handful of female politicians from wealthy families, myself included, to pretend their only obstacle to success is their own lack of initiative. Meanwhile, those of us who don't use our clout to help powerful men stay in power are denigrated as angry spinsters. I ask you, Mr. President, does anyone care that your strategist, Mr. Gallard, doesn't have a wife? I've been wondering about that, actually. Well, no, I didn't really have a wife. Leave Lucian out of this. Yes, I agree. Swordland's women do indeed deserve better, and we will work on that, don't worry. My wife is, of course, she's also an advocate for women's rights, and we don't disagree. She has been that way since we met, so I'm glad to hear that. As I was saying, isn't it about time Holsword addressed this country's real issues, rather than bowing to the wishes of the hawks and fearmongers in the establishment and diverting yet more resources to the military and law enforcement? Our welfare, healthcare, and education systems have been decaying since the recession. Swordland's poorer communities are losing hope. Hopelessness and a lack of opportunities can drive people to extreme solutions. We're seeing increased crime, domestic violence, and yes, rising inequality between men and women. Yes, we need to tackle these issues from different directions, but ultimately with a holistic outlook. I'm planning to help by using an increased budget to improve the quality of healthcare. That could prove useful, but we need to be doing a lot more. Education has similar issues. There is another subject I want to mention. I have been working on improving the rights of workers in our country and have proposed a draft bill that is currently being reviewed by our party. Mr. Clavin has already backed me and given his support. Swordland has fallen behind most countries on this subject, and it is my responsibility to ensure this is not the case. Well, there is always room for improvement, and it is good to hear that you are pushing for it. Appreciate the kind words, Mr. President. I will not let you down. It is also a matter of life and death. Every decade we hear of some horrific accident due to employers' disregard for their workers' safety. So, would you back the bill when it arrives on your desk, Mr. President? Let's not get hasty here. To make a decision, I would need to evaluate the contents in great detail. I mean, I support the notion, yes, but yeah. In terms of formally backing things, I would like to read them with a fine-tooth comb first. Understandable. You will receive all the sections in an outline. It's getting a little cold out here. Let's head inside and continue our discussions. This is all on the balcony, don't forget. We headed back inside. The meeting room was already prepared for state business. Small gifts for each of us had been placed on the table by the municipality. We took our seats. Right. We'll start with the health overview first, and then we'll get to the education second. Mainly because the education is the one that we're probably going to prioritise if we had to choose. As you wish, Mr. President. Swordland has a free healthcare system, except for a few private hospitals operating under it. Most of the populace receives adequate treatment. Health issues primarily appear in rural areas due to a lack of quality services. I'm doing my best to ensure that citizens of all ages receive the best healthcare they can. I also personally want to solve the high infant and maternal mortality problem. How many doctors and nurses are employed? We have 31,594 doctors and 73,680 nurses working for the Ministry of Health. This is a high number. What I think is, I don't want to be rude, but out of those numbers, how many are in urban and rural areas? I'm quite tempted to say that. I mean, he may have got onto that. She kind of cut him off. Yeah, do you know what? Let's not interrupt each other now. Come on. Order in the court. Order in the meeting room. That's not a problem. The number of doctors per 10,000 citizens is far lower in rural areas compared to urban areas. Treatment time is still too high due to the low number of doctors in rural areas, which get barely any proper coverage. How many hospital beds are there per 10,000 citizens? There are 10 beds per 10,000 citizens, which is a very good number according to our comparisons with our neighbours. We see a lower number in the countries of Agnolia and Wayland, but obviously can't match Lesbia or Valsland. Agnolia and Valen are hardly countries to take as a standard, but it's good to know we aren't in a huge health crisis yet. Okay, tell me more about the life expectancy and mortality rates, please. Our life expectancy is 65 years, a bit low, and the infant, well, imagine it is the 50s, and the infant mortality rate is a worrying 85 per 1,000 births, while our maternal mortality rate is at 90 per 1,000. Be assured that we're doing everything we can to save mothers and their newborn. Those numbers are saddening indeed. I agree. We must do everything. We must do everything that we can. Collectively, as a team, of course. Well, Pascal, I thank you for your in-depth briefing. Much appreciated. Right, education time. Chiara, take it away. With pleasure. Soldiers' education is free. but we have a very outdated system that I want to reform. The other important issue is the lack of access to education in rural areas, especially for young girls. Your administration has the power to solve both problems. My highest priority is to get enough funding to be able to build schools in rural areas while I cleanse our educational system of its nationalistic indoctrination and sexist teachings. Okay. Laying it out, not beating about the bush here. And again, I can't disagree with her thoughts here. But how many students and teachers do we have? Currently there are about 5 million students, 3 million in primary education, 1 million in secondary and 1 million in tertiary. There are 155,316 teachers. Swordland is full of young and bright minds. Yes, it is indeed full of potential, but we need to unlock and harness this potential somehow, some way. I think there needs to be a change in the way of thought. We should help children to question and educate themselves. Okay. What's the literacy rate of Swordland? Yeah, it's at 80%. This is a very good indicator for future growth, but it needs to increase. It is also far lower among girls than boys. If I remember correctly, the most illiterate areas are Berger and Angland. That is correct, although Leshaven skews the statistics for the Nargis region, which also has a vast number of illiterate citizens. This underlines my point about the lack of access to education. Okay, speaking of access, tell me about the difference between urban and rural education. Urban areas have 3 times the number of schools per 10,000 people compared to rural areas. Rural areas also suffer from a lack of teachers. Not a good ratio. This is one of the most important problems we face, if not the most important. A huge part of the population is forgotten in terms of welfare. Right, very good, thank you. I can fill the blanks from here. Right. Perfect food for thought, guys. I thank you kindly. I believe that is everything. Kiara stood up and moved towards the window. She took a deep breath. Everything okay, we ask? Look at this impoverished city. The streets full of potholes, the hospital barely functioning, the school half open. This is not just about Sol or even Alfonso failing. This decay in Swordland's forgotten regions has been going on for many decades due to the structural corruption which is fueled by capitalism. Pascal, any thoughts? Sir, there is not much to be said. I agree with Kiara, but it is also Gus Major's job to improve these areas. It is the responsibility of each and every one of us, says Kiara. She sits back down and sighs again. One way or another, we need to transform. Greed and unchecked capitalism will not magically provide for the people. Okay. Kiara? You've got the floor. Tell me more about your plans. My plans require an increase in the government budget. I aim to solve the problems we highlighted with the allocated money. By building schools in these less fortunate rural areas and through fundamental changes to the educational system, I will unlock the potential of all of our children, boys and girls alike. Our election mandate was to improve education. But we also do have a lack of education quality. We do. We've read it. Our statistics show the disparity between urban and rural education. We can either do something about it or wait until things get worse. Wouldn't a promotion of private education help create additional funds? Yes, but at what cost? I'm not a supporter of the private sector in education, because at the end of the day, they are focused on profit first. Yeah, we're not privatising education. Nope, sorry. That's one thing we're not doing. What are you working towards, Pascal? I personally want to improve the low quality of healthcare in the rural areas. So I created draft plans to increase the salary of doctors and to upgrade the equipment of the hospitals. I can do more with an increased budget. Additionally, a privatisation plan to promote private investments in the healthcare system could allocate extra funds. And what about this access to healthcare in the rural areas? Access is an issue, but not as critical as the quality in these areas. The lack of experienced personnel or equipment causes bad treatment, resulting in many deaths. I do hope to create competition and increase the quality of healthcare with a privatisation effort. A private healthcare system would increase the price of treatment and make access worse for the average citizen. Besides, I believe we have decided to promote a more planned economy. My expectation from our government is that we understand and focus on the needs of the people. Yes, I appreciate your briefings and your plans. I think I've heard enough, and I know my mind. I mean, we did do this. I mean, it's probably worth stressing it, to be fair. We are on the same page here, Minister Wilder. Okay? I've bailed out the people directly. Trust me. I know what I'm doing. It has shown your dedication, but there are many years ahead of us. This is just the beginning of the journey. No matter how small a step, it is still progress. Did we cover all the necessary subjects? I wish to raise my concerns about your scheduled meeting with the Gasson chairman and former president, Mr. Alfonso. There are significant considerations regarding the Narbel workforce and the broader community of Gasson blue-collar employees. This could be a strategic juncture to secure a triumph for the labour force. While I don't intend to overstep, I can't refrain from commenting on the labour predicament experienced by workers in Gasson positions. Nevertheless, it's worth acknowledging that the corporation contributes substantially to job creation in regions struggling with poverty. Persuading the chairman to make concessions might prove to be a formidable task. Our aim should be a mutually beneficial outcome that advances both the economy and the interests of the labourers. Such an accomplishment would undoubtedly receive public acclaim, transcending political affiliations. The matter regarding labourers is close to my heart. I would personally be grateful if you would be able to resolve the concerns raised by Katerina Horton and other labourers. It would be difficult to imagine someone like Alfonso, obsessed with his corporation, give benefits to workers without him personally gaining from it. Oh, we can actually go into the negatives. Oh, that's interesting. That's good to know. Okay, yeah. Balanced approach. The middle way often sways perilously towards maintaining the status quo. We must ensure that any negotiations genuinely benefit the people and not just uphold the interests of these corporate giants. Despite the potential divergence in interests, the doors for dialogue among differing sides should always remain open. It's important that ideology doesn't obscure our capacity to bring about tangible, effective transformation. Well, balancing different viewpoints is never easy, but it's crucial for finding common ground. Leave the negotiations to me, okay? Don't worry. Don't worry about a thing. We won't repeat the same mistakes again and again. Have a good day, Mr. President. Right. The ministers left, and I prepared to leave for other official business in the city. The agenda for the next few days was busy. It also included a meeting with Minister Gus Manger and former President Alfonso at the Gotham branch office. As I made my way out, the weather was noticeably cold, but it didn't keep up a group of USP supporters from coming out to cheer us on the streets. By looking at the citizens' attire, it was easy to understand the current state of Narbo. Some people were wearing clothes a few sizes too large, some kids did not even have shoes. Yet there was hope in their eyes, and that's probably something that we're going to hold on to. These poor kids, no shoes on their feet, but coming out to cheer and wave. Hopeful. It's a powerful image, isn't it? They were excited to see their president in their city. Bless them. Bless their hearts. We need to work for them. Right. It's 10 to 10. I'm still hot. Right. Just the one news article today, is it? Preserving national sovereignty. The EPA stands for now. The National Assembly has demonstrated resounding commitment to Swordsland's economic independence. The proposed repeal of the Energy Act, a cornerstone, was effectively defeated. Okay, so it's been defeated apparently. Not even going to be motioned or put to me to vote on. Oh well. Okay, so this is the CSP discussing Helliland at the Helm Summit. Anatolian annexation of the island during Valensland's revolution. Heiland. What is Heiland? An island. Where is it? Oh, it's there. Right there. In between the two. See, the trouble is, it doesn't go in order, this, does it? Oh, it's here. Sounds like they want to take it back, to me. Oh, we'll see. Okay, news in Lesbia. Arcasia builds military base in Lesbia. President Walker visited Lesbia in person last week to engage in talks with Prime Minister Alvarez concerning the establishment of Arcasia military bases within Lesbia. Following the conclusion of the discussions, an agreement was reached between the two leaders regarding a significant military defence investment in Lesbia. As part of the agreement, a large military base will be constructed on Ravnos Island. The base will be equipped with Arcasian radar and anti-air systems for enhanced security. Additionally, Arcasia plans to deploy a dozen M3 ballistic missiles. The base is expected to accommodate approximately 200 strategic bombers and jet fighters. So we've got Arcasia offering support to Agnolia, and now having a sort of military presence in Lesbia. I mean, we should just follow suit, and we could have all been on board with the Arcasians, couldn't we? Right, what else we got? Estord. Young sword member found decapitated in an abandoned house. Kurg Link, a high school teacher. Tortured he was with hot iron rods before his tongue was cut off. Sounds like he had the most painful and horrific death. That is not good. Right, what have we got? In V-Sword. Young sword suspected of terror attack. "17 people killed, and the attacker shot himself afterwards." Good grief! It's never much good news, is there, in these papers? Right, Morbell mine disaster. A coal mine has collapsed in Morbell. Apparently, an underground fire had started due to the neglecting working situations by the Needham Mining Group. Current death toll is 82 and counting. If it's not bloody riots and stuff, hey, it's natural disasters or bloody... Can't catch a blooming break. And in Holsot, whoa, hang on. So this is a repeal. So this is what we told in the newspaper. So basically, proposed repeal of it was put to a vote in the Assembly, resulting in its defeat. Despite strong advocacy from the reformer factions Pifstib and beyond, the majority of the Assembly, led by the USP and FP, voted against the repeal. 179 to 71. Okay, it remains in force. For now. NFP is against any threshold reform. He doesn't want any ne'er-do-wells entering the Assembly. So he is against changing the 10% threshold. Probably worth noting that down somewhere as well. Note takers out there. It's getting quite complex now, isn't it? So he's against any reforms. But again, it should be quite obvious though, shouldn't it? You know, the far right, the Conservatives want no reforms, no change. Should be quite straightforward to remember these things. I was saying that in the hope that it is, because I've clearly not taken notes. Right. The Workers' Right Bill nears completion. First draft review is being prepared. A session dedicated to the bill in the Assembly proved contentious. The people that form the backbone of the Sordis economy will finally be fully protected by extensive laws, Katarina Horton said, receiving both cheers and boos. Okay. Our highway is halfway constructed, and so far, and I'm going to say it because I know commentators' curse means that in the next couple of turns, something's going to happen, but so far, it seems to be on track. Being of a metagame, taking a metagame approach to this, something is going to happen here. Because it was free to hire Taurus. They've got no track record when it comes to large-scale projects. The other two options required us to pay, so if the free option goes without a hitch, I'll be shocked. I reckon we're paying at some point in this process, because they fall behind, their methods aren't working, we're going to have to pay. I've just got a sneaking suspicion. I hope I'm wrong. There's a notebook in this game for a reason. Yes, one which I refuse to use. When it comes to the crunch, we'll remember. We shall remember. Right. Read the report. Labour strike at Gasson. Blue-collar workers have initiated a labour strike. Yeah, this whole Gasson situation really needs to be resolved, and hence why we're meeting with Manger and Alfonso. Right, CPS and LUS strike action against Gasson. Again, more strikes. God's sake. Right, let's have a meeting, shall we? We have a meeting in our little palace here, or wherever the hell we are, with all the strikes going on around us. Just block out the sounds, it's fine. After a series of intense meetings with Chiara and Pascal, I decided to take some much-needed rest to recharge the batteries. Lucien and Peter were labouring tirelessly in the capital, uniting democratically leaning reformers for the crucial task of drafting a new constitution. Meanwhile, Gus Manger had invited me to visit the Gassom headquarters in Narbel. It was situated in Ornabel, a neighbourhood in the city outskirts. Next to it was the Demenoy gas reserve, a prominent natural gas source consisting of 4 large fields. As our motorcade made its way through the Ornabel district, I noted the neighbourhood's state of disrepair. The roads were bumpy and marked with potholes, again, while the buildings surrounded appeared run down and dilapidated. Clearly, long periods of neglect. And as we arrived, there's a sizable mural that had been painted on a nearby wall. And there's some protest signs, or people holding protest signs, adjacent to the mural. Sergei skillfully parked the car, bringing our journey to a smooth, elegant conclusion, and Gus greeted us warmly as we stepped out of the vehicle. Good day, President Rain. Welcome to Gassom's Narbel operations. I trust Ministers Walder and Bennywall didn't overwhelm you with their demands? Yes, good to see you, Gus. I wanted to talk to you about what we can do to help the development here. Come on, let's step inside, shall we? Perfect. That's exactly what I hope to accomplish during today's discussions. My job is to improve the conditions of places like these. Mr. President, I've been brainstorming a little something. The Grooney Rural Investment Plan. I reckon it's got the potential to breathe new life into our rural communities out in Grooney. We could consider a few things. For starters, we could give the farming business a boost with some subsidies, or we could steer towards modernising existing farms with machinery and tech. Or, here's another thought. We could pour resources into developing crop breeds tailor-made for Grooney conditions. If it works out, we could roll this out across Swordland. He kept talking as he guided me into the Gasson building. Mr. President, I get the appeal of that green bill that's been making the rounds in the Assembly. But I'm telling you, if we put the brakes on that and funnel those funds into the Grooney plan instead, we could make some real strides without spooking any potential investors. It's a tough call, Gus. I need more time to weigh up all the implications, both economic and environmental, before I come to a final conclusion. That's all I'm asking for, Mr. President. Just give this plan a fair shake. Our talk was interrupted by a noise coming from outside the building. We looked out the nearest window. A sleek helicopter was cutting through the sky, sunlight glinting off its polished surface as it descended towards us. On it was our next appointment. Ewald Alfonso, former president himself. Sure knows how to make an entrance, we can't help but spit out of our mouth here. Alphonse? Okay, yeah. The man loves his theatrics. Before we meet him, I wanted to bring up one more piece of Assembly business. This workers' rights bill. Look, I'm all for giving hard-working folks what they deserve, but isn't it a bit hasty to push this while we're still stuck in a recession? The way I see it, short-term wins might end up costing us big in the long run. I get what you're saying, Gus. I get that to some degree. But isn't it high time we put people before profits? Well, I see where you're coming from, Mr. President, but a prosperous economy helps everyone, the workers included. If we're all sinking, nobody's winning. Please, come this way. Ewald and I have some exciting news to share with you. Exciting news, you say? I have faith that you won't leave us hanging. Okay, what are we saying here? Well, yeah, this. Basically, I am here. I've come to Narbel specifically because I want to see with my own eyes what's happening here and then do something about it. Of course! That's going to play a big role in our discussion. We do have to be delicate with Gasson, though. A corporation this big is like a house of cards. You make one wrong move and the whole thing falls apart. Yes, yeah, well, we shouldn't jeopardize Gasson completely, but we should still do something. I highly advise us to find a middle ground. If the state can assist Gasson through these tough times, we'll all benefit. Shall we? He pushed open a door. We walked down yet another hallway, seemingly in the direction we just come from. Like a maze, isn't it? That's Kinali architecture for you. The hallways were lined with doors. Glass panels in them revealed workers in suits and ties, many of foreign origin, busy in their pristine offices. A stark contrast to the blue-collar workers outside, working with machinery, transportation and maintenance. This whole complex feels very hands on deck, yes. I can see that this is quite the intricate operation. It took decades for Ewald and the workers, of course, to create an enterprise of such global competitive potential. Ah, there's the elevator. Ewald ought to be up there already. There's a separate entrance by the helipad. We stepped into the elevator, Gus punched a code, and we began our ascent. Just remember, Alfonso's our friend. We've got the foundation for a great deal. The doors opened. Here we are! Ewald, my friend. Ewald Alfonso stood up from his chair. He had on a perfectly tailored suit that he wore as casually as pajamas. Gus, you old devil. So don't forget that we ended amicably with him, and we kind of took over as leader in an amicable fashion. So hopefully that's going to help us out in these negotiations here. Takes one to know one. As promised, I've brought our guest of honour. President Rain. I hope you enjoyed seeing our facilities here. This is probably what we're thinking, but we're not going to get off on the wrong foot here. Yes, President Alfonso. It's nice to see what you have built from the inside. Ah, it's fine. Nothing compared to the Gasson HQ in Hallsword, of course. But still, one of the standouts of the Maroon District. Please, have a seat. Let's talk. We sat down. Some snacks and drinks were served. Multiple Gasson yearly financial reports were scattered on the table between us. It's been a while, Mr. Rain. Let me catch you up on my activities since I left office. I ventured to Xena, immersing myself in its vibrant culture, and traversed the captivating landscapes of the Unraken Peninsula, and finally reunited with old acquaintances in Callao. Along the way, I had the privilege of encountering remarkable individuals who have made significant contributions to their respective fields. My experience prompted deep reflection on the essence of life. I came out of it all with two words resonating in my head: reputation and legacy. These two pillars embody the lasting impact we leave behind, and the way we are remembered by others. With a cup of coffee in hand, he strolled over to the window, his gaze drawn to the expansive gas fields stretching before him. Towering mountains provided a majestic backdrop. Oh God, right, what have we got here? While reputation and legacy hold significance, we should also remember that life's true essence lies in the present moment. I quite like that, actually. Let's focus on the here and now. Well, we obviously want to focus about the future in some degrees as well, but actually reputation and legacy is more to do with past. And reputation and legacy is quite self-centered also, I believe. He gazed out for a moment longer as he contemplated what I'd said, then turned back to us. I have been thinking about my own legacy and reputation, and I refuse to be remembered as a failed reformer. I put so many years of my life into this corporation, and then I left it all behind and devoted myself to serving the people of Swordland. And serve you did! Swordland would be much worse off without you. Gus clearly in the brown-nosing stakes here. Okay, we'll empathise and say that we empathise with individuals. Obviously show dedication and passion into work, regardless of the field. Much appreciated. I'm well aware of the challenges you yourself have faced. I commend you for navigating those obstacles without causing harm to others. But I'm concerned about the future of what I have built up. The latest figures show that Gasson will have to either decrease staff and operations by 40% in 1 year or take on a crushing amount of debt. This is why we have decided to reach out to foreign investors. I mean, this is really, again, one of these things where obviously foreign investment is probably less planned economy style, but in my head I'm thinking, well, it probably is not that bad. It's not probably a good thing, actually. Well, it could be a double-edged sword. I appreciate your perspective, but we need to adapt to the changing global landscape. Foreign investors will bring new opportunities and technologies that could enhance the efficiency and competitiveness of Gasson. It's about finding the right balance and safeguarding our interests. I appreciate you coming through, Gus. Getting Reezy interested in another investment is a major feat. We've got an amazing opportunity here. The demands for gas is steadily increasing from both international partners and the Swordish state. All we have to do is ensure a consistent supply. The trouble is that right now, some of our fields are operating at only half of their capacity due to resource limitations. But we have significant potential for expansion, including 2 new fields that haven't even been tapped. With the right amount of investment, we can expand resource extraction, effectively fulfill rising demand, and ensure long-term stability and profitability. There is the aforementioned interest from Reezy, but the investment could also come from Swordland itself. Just pointing out the old 20% situation. It is, isn't it? Which is precisely why you were invited to be a part of this discussion. Oh, go on. I will remind you that I was never against the complete removal of the Energy Protection Act of 1932. In fact, I saw eye to eye with Sol about protecting our natural resources from foreign interests. But there is a balance in all things. The reality of Arcadian-style capitalism means that our national interests should absolutely be part of the discussion. Mr. Alfonso has neglected to mention that this is not an either-or proposition. Swordland can invest alongside Resia. Okay. Well, we have got the budget for it at the moment. Joint investment. I could be on board with joint investment. It depends what the percentage split is, but I think we can be on board. Very beneficial. I'll be at the helm to ensure these funds bring sustainable growth and good returns. You all won't be alone. We have a talented financial team. The sound of sirens briefly distracted us. Through the window, we saw police cars driving down the street adjacent to the gas-on zone. Yeah, more chaos and carnage outside whilst we continue to discuss this. You all looked at me. Mr. Rain, the foundation for a robust partnership is right here. It's high time we shift our focus towards sealing this deal. If we raise a minority investment, it would allow us to invest in further resource excavations in the gas fields and turn the company back to significant profitability. By significant, I mean that our projections show that Gasson would be able to cover 80% of Swordland's gas needs in 3 years, and we would achieve profits 4 times the value of our investment. Okay. First of all, we're going to say this just in case we don't get to ask all of them, but yeah, we need a commitment that if we do indeed invest, we want to see some commitment to improving the socio-economic conditions in Nabil. Now, I mean, this guy's got the Alfonso Foundation, which is, you know, based on... where is it? Addressing homelessness, inequality, and all that kind of jazz. So, I mean, he should be quite on board with that. I wholeheartedly agree. The well-being of Narbel citizens is a priority for Gasson. With this investment, we could certainly allocate some funds to improve the local infrastructure and create more jobs. Mr. President, I've been thinking, what if we tie Gasson's growth to Narbel's development? Get the company to invest in the community, you know? That way everybody wins. Mr. President, your administration's focus on a planned economy resonates with our strategic vision for Gasson. A government investment in our company aligns perfectly with this approach. It's about strengthening Swordland's economy and becoming self-sufficient in energy production. We're pushing for, yeah, we're going to push on this. I think we're going to push on this angle. I mean, these are both true again, but this is our biggest desire here. We want development in Narbel, not just words. I want to see actions, concrete actions. You're right to demand specifics. With this investment, we aim to improve the living conditions in Narbel by creating more jobs, providing better housing for our workers, and initiating educational programs. Gassom is as committed to Narbel as it is to Swordland. It is about time Narbel get a leg up. Ewell's plan sounds solid to me. More jobs, better living conditions, that's a step in the right direction. If the Swedish government chooses to invest, it would gain a voice in the broader company decisions, even as a minority stakeholder. The government could either liquidate its shares at a future date or continue to reap the long-term profits. A beneficial arrangement for all parties. Ewald walked back over to the window. He stood there, silhouetted against the vast expanse of the gas fields. After a moment he turned back to face us. His gaze was steady, the expectation clear in his eyes. The time had come to make a decision. Well, Mr. President, will Gassom and Swordland make history or not? This is going to cost us 2, I reckon. Please don't be flipping 3. Oh, it will cost us 1 if we share the cost with Rizia. You know what? No. Rizia. I mean, this is Rizia have got ties to Rumberg, right? But maybe that could be a good thing, because if we're kind of, that could be a bad thing. What if Rumberg? I mean, I don't think it's going to happen. But what if Rumberg utilised Rizia to screw us over Big Star with this somehow? Wealthy people start foundations because charity doesn't pay. Well, there is that as well. Actually, that's a good point. Ooh. Ooh. I kind of like the idea of going in with Rizia, not just because it's less budget that we're using here, but you know, again, maybe sort of early ties, early sort of groundwork to potential alliance in the future. Who knows? We don't, probably not, but you never know, do you? Yeah. We'll co-invest. I think it's kind of a best of both worlds. We're putting some money in, so it goes with our planned economy. Rizia obviously putting some in as well. I mean, obviously within the constraints of this percentage split, I'm assuming. But anyway, yeah, co-investment. Co-investment. Joint investment? A wise choice. It ensures steady funds for Gassom. I like the way you think, Mr. President. Sharing the cost with Rizia reduces our risk and strengthens our ties. It's a smart move. Before we dive into the celebrations, I've allocated time during this meeting for President Rain to discuss any concerns regarding Gassom's treatment of its workers and its effects on Narbel. The Labour Union, along with the Communist Party of Swordland, has rallied substantial support from Gassom workers in Narbel, advocating for improved local conditions. Alfonso nodded and looked at me. Yes, our duty is to listen and take action. That's the mandate granted to us by the public. Well, sometimes people may not always recognise what's in their best interest. Do you have a proposal in mind, Mr. President? Wages of the blue-collar workers. So the blue-collar workers, white-collar, blue-collar, I think the blue-collar workers are the ones that are like on the coal face. Your kind of maintenance guys, the lower-paid ones, basically. Now, again, that is probably, for the people kind of situation. However, I think contributions to local charities to aid in the city's recovery is probably better long term. I'm thinking, rather than just upping the wages of the poorer paid workers. I think if we can get some money pumped into the city's recovery as a whole, I think that's probably better. Here we go with that one. I share your concerns about Darbel. Gassom is committed to implementing sustainable practices that will lessen our impact on the environment and the community. Personally, I am committed to supporting local charities to enhance our community engagement. Yes, charitable donations are commendable, but we must address the source of the harm, not just mitigate its effects. I couldn't agree more. It's high time we took our responsibilities to Darbel seriously. Of course, we are fully committed to ensuring our operations are... Suddenly, the meeting was interrupted. The quiet murmur of a conversation from outside the room grew louder, followed by the sound of hurried footsteps. A member of the private security team entered the room, his face taut with urgency. He approached Alfonso and leaned in to whisper something in his ear. Ewald nodded solemnly, his gaze meeting mine with a serious intensity. What's happened? Gentlemen, it seems we have an unexpected situation outside. Some protesters from the Labour Union have blocked the main vehicular exits. Katarina Horton and Dennis Starler seem to be leading the group. It would be difficult to leave the way we came without causing trouble. Well, that's a pickle. What's our move, Ewald? I have a helicopter ready. We can leave undetected and avoid the chaos and potential danger. No. Hang fire. Hang fire. We're not slipping away in helicopters round here when I'm present in the meeting, because I face my challenges head on. We are going to face them. They're going to look at me like I'm crazy. But that is your prerogative, Mr. President. Following violent events of late, I heavily recommend against facing any crowd. Mr. President, I advise you to leave your helicopter, just in case. I can stay back and update the crowd on the discussions today. Sergei rushes in. Mr. President, I have discussed the situation with the Presidential Guard and the police security. They are advising us not to go out the way we came in. More police are on the way. You must make a decision, Mr. President. Oh, everyone waited. The tense silence of the room stood in stark contrast to the buzz of the ever-growing crowd outside. Oh, and it's past. It's past. Which provides the perfect time for us to end our session. Deciding what the hell we're going to do to get out of Darbel. Do we slip away undetected in helicopter like some coward? Or do we face the baying mob and face a risk of being injured or worse? Oh dear. Right, what have we got? We've literally got 3 news articles and only two things. What is it? Oh, do you know what? Come on. I can't leave it. I could leave you on this cliffhanger. Yeah, I could. It's 10:30. That's the time I was going to finish. Right, security forces have gathered intel regarding a hidden meeting along local leaders. They've elected a new leader in the meeting. Alwan Lag, who is a brother infamous former leader Delwan Ag. This is the guy that was in prison, right? Yeah, Antel Rock prison. Serious implications for national security. Okay. That's not really a concern to me at this moment in time. Bigger concern is how the hell are we getting out of here? Right, let's have a look at the couple of changes here. So we have state co-investment in Gassom with Rizia. Okay, cool. And we have a codex update somewhere. Apparently. No clue. Oh, here. Organisations, corporations, gas on. There we go. Raise new investments from the government to expand the production capacity by opening and operating 2 new sites. Right, news. Word of caution. Co-investment, though marketed as a strategic venture, necessitates cautious optimism due to Reese's ties to Grace. The immediate financial benefits are apparent due to lesser costs for the Treasury, but the larger implications of allowing foreign influence into our energy sector remain murky. United we prosper. So we've got 2 different slants on this. Pragmatic economic policy and international cooperation. And boost. Boost to Gasom. A promising boost. Not seeing it just yet though, are we? Okay, so mixed reviews on our decision. I don't think it'll be good in the long run. We'll see. Right, come on. We've got to make a quick escape here. Oh, is this all it is? Right, a volatile situation has emerged outside the facility. We know the situation. Are we flying away? Or are we addressing and leaving via car? Oh, God. Alfonso has said we're leaving. It's best to leave by helicopter. Gus says it's best. Even our own driver and bodyguard, Sergei, says, better get the hell out of here. Not in the way we came in. And there's me, Mr. President. Nah, I appreciate what you're all saying, but this is not a time for slipping away through the back door. Not when there's people out there. We could actually nip these protests in the bud with some choice words here. This could be a pivotal moment. We could end up dead, but we're not a president that's going to shirk our responsibilities. We're going to be known to tackle them head on and be seen. Okay. No, we got a ping. No more reports, no more news. Let's get it done. Right, this is our last thing of the session. We step out of the towering front gate of the Gason facility, and I could taste the tension in the air. Gus is on our right. Sergei is on the left, scanning with precision, ready to jump in front of us, Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner style, if there's any sign of movement. Here we are, fedora on, glasses on, same suit that we always wear. This is the face, this is the president. You've seen me, you know me. The Gassam security had drawn their weapons in anticipation, forming a bristling wall around the perimeter. My presidential guard, in stark contrast, stood tall and unflinching at the entrance, shielding us from the sea of angry workers surrounding us. The shouts of the crowd were deafening, the hostility palpable. Starler and Horton stood at the forefront with fire in their eyes, leader of the Communist Party, independent MP and leader of the Union. With a deep breath, I prepared to address them. Gus gives us a megaphone. Oh God. Oh, my chest is hurting me. I'm not having a heart attack or anything, people, don't worry. It's because I did some exercise earlier and it involved some quite a lot of push-ups. I think I've not done it for a little while, so maybe a bit of the old micro muscles that form in between your rib cage. As I was told last time I had this issue, hey, do you realise you've got micro muscles in between your rib cage? You could have pulled them. I'm like, oh, really? Okay, here we go, folks. My fellow swords, good people of Narbel, Listen and engage. We are here to ensure Gasson becomes a beacon of growth, fairness, and prosperity for all its workers. I like that one. Practical solutions. Yeah. Before any of you do anything too rash, I want you to take a good look around you. Now, this is quite an interesting one if I knew what he was going to say next. Because it could say, well, take a good look at it, because this is the last you're going to see of it like this, because we have got plans afoot. Quite like that. Take a good look around, because they're all going to be shocked. Like, what? What's he talking about? Take a look around. Just take a look. Yeah, broken, isn't it? Broken, knackered. Oh, I see what you mean. Oh, the guards. Oh, yes. Oh, no, we're not saying that then. That's a bad idea. Take a look around, folks. One false move and you're shot dead. No, we're not going down that line. Right, so I think it is. I think here. It's a bit over the top, if you ask me. But, yeah, we are here. Blah, blah, blah. Yep. We're going to listen. We're going to engage. I'm facing you face to face right now. We're going to work together on this one. We recognise that words are not enough. And only through concrete action can we begin to address the challenges you face. That's quite nice. Let's turn this impasse into an opportunity. A chance for real impactful change. Okay, no, we're going to go with action. Action. We are a man of action. Hence why we're here right now. We could have flown away, but no. Empty words, Rain. You showed us nothing concrete today. We're fed up with your hollow rhetoric. All talk and no action, isn't it, Mr. President? How long must the workers wait for real change? Now, hold on a moment. President Rain is committed to bringing about real change. His actions and decisions demonstrate this clearly, even if it doesn't fit your narrative. Is that so, Manger? All we've seen are decisions that favour the likes of you and Ewald Alfonso, not the common workers. It's not about narratives, Mr. Manger. It's about ensuring a fair, dignified life for the working class. Something your policies have consistently failed to do. Oh my god. No, we're not getting into an argument here. I understand your skepticism, Dennis. But I assure you my administration is devoted to bringing about better conditions for our workers. Your words are compelling, President Rain, but can they truly outweigh the years of corporate dominance? Your intentions sound noble, President Rain, but your intentions alone don't feed families or pay the bills. We need concrete actions. Your neglect of our nation's healthcare system will harm millions. Mr. President, we demand that you support the upcoming Workers' Rights Bill. The labour force of Swordland will be watching your next move closely. Furthermore, we want reform. Reduce the election threshold and change the constitution to make a more democratic and fairer nation. What do you think I'm trying to do, pal? You stand there shouting this at me and am I not trying to do it? How dare you speak to your president? Guards! Cost these fools. I understand the concerns and frustrations many of you have. Rest assured, we are here. I am here today. I am out here facing you now. And I am listening. And we, me and my government, are committed to addressing these issues. I can only give you my word. What else can I do right now? I've given you my word. You either take it or you don't. But at least give me respect for coming out here and facing you. Despite the sharp words exchanged, the crowd remained eerily calm. Hey, this Mr. Rain is a good flipping public speaker, you know, I'm telling you. Applauses and cheers in the past, and now he's got the baying mob calmed. Seemed like they were waiting, their collective breath held in anticipation of something more. Oh, we better think of something fast. They want more. Suddenly a reporter pushed through the crowd, brandishing a microphone towards... Oh, here we go. Here we go. The locals of Narbel have suffered under the impact of Gassom for years. What concrete steps is Gassom going to take for the benefit of the local community? I mean, they all say the same thing, but in different ways, so which is the most impactful? I have exciting news. Gassom has promised a substantial contribution to local charities, a move that will play a central role in the recovery efforts for Narbel. Or I am pleased to announce that Gassom will play a crucial role in the recovery of Narbel. They have pledged a significant contribution to local charities. No, I don't like that one. Kind of the same. I don't like the whole exciting news bit. So we'll go with this bit. And that we're pleased to announce that Gassom will play a crucial role in the recovery of Narbel. They have pledged significant contribution to local charities. You can stop whining now. With this contribution, Gassom is stepping up to play an essential part in the recovery and development of Narbel. I could hear the crowd growing restless. They once again broke into discontented murmurs, punctuated by the occasional shout. Charitable contributions? Mr. President? Is that all Gassom can offer? While the effort is appreciated, these gestures do little to address the structural inequalities faced by the workers. We need systemic change, not charity. What we need, Mr. President, is not a one-time act of charity, but a sustained commitment to improving the living conditions and wage disparity. Gassom's charity must not be used as a smokescreen to cover their ongoing exploitation. A group of figures emerged from the crowd adorned in unmistakable scarlet attire. The Red Youth had arrived. Oh dear. Oh, hang fire. The sight of them triggered nostalgia, memories of days filled with protests and camaraderie during our time at university. I realised this was no longer a mere protest. It was a symbol of a broader, more potent struggle. The police began reorganising their ranks, adopting defensive postures. Could you shed some light on the possible deal between the Swordish government and Gassom? What role does the Kingdom of Rhesia play in this arrangement? I mean, is it confidential? It was just in the papers, mate. It was all over the papers. We are sharing the costs and stakes with Rhesia. You know, it's not a secret. This way, we're reducing financial pressure and fostering international relationships. A partnership with Rhesia? Are you aware of the monarchy's history of stamping out disagreements with brute force? We will be watching this co-investment closely. Your government will be responsible for keeping its partners' worst tendencies in check. Nearby, a quick, hushed conversation was being had between a Gaslam security officer and a presidential guard. I followed their eyes to the protesters. Some had calmed down, others still seemed agitated. Sergei craned his neck, his face deep in concentration as he listened to their whispers. Sir, the crowd is no longer entirely hostile, but there's still an undercurrent of tension. It might be a good time to make our way to the convoy before any potential escalation. Oh no. If we stay, someone's getting killed. If we stay, something's going to go wrong. We're probably not going to die, I don't think, but somebody could get injured here. But I don't want to run away. I want to stay here until I've finished my piece. And now we've got Red Youth here who have been known to do the odd thing or two that's a bit extreme. And we have done some talking. And we have calmed some of the tension. I think we have to quit while we're winning, is one of the phrases that springs to mind. Quit while you're ahead. This could be one of those times. Do you know what? I agree, Sergei. I've got nothing else to say. I've talked to the reporter, I've talked to those two, I've shown my face, I've told them everything that I can. We've invested, they're going to invest in charities, we shared the burden, and we are going to work towards better working conditions. We can't say another thing. I think now's a good time to go. Mr. President, I'll stay on to further address the crowd. The mood is still tense, but I think I can manage. You should get on your way. I'm impressed you even came out to speak to us, President Rain. Most wouldn't. However, this conversation isn't over yet. Dennis, I quite agree. But there is a time and a place to have such conversations, and in the middle of the public realm isn't really it. I've said all I needed to say, and I thank you for your time. We will hold you accountable to your promises. The troubles of the labourers continue, and our union is here to solve them. I turned to the crowd one last time. In their eyes I saw both flashes of anger and glimmers of hope. Their collective gaze bore into me, awaiting my words. Final words from the President before we go, perhaps? Indeed. Accountability is the cornerstone of democracy. As your president, I understand that responsibility. Indeed I do. Again, this unity line. We've taken this unity line before in the past. The path to progress is challenging and fraught with disagreement. Of course it is, naturally. But we must not let this divide us. We must not. The reporter jumped in. Oh, for God's sake. Can you clarify the current status of your personal relationship with you? No more questions, please. Mr. President, if you could please proceed to the vehicle. Sergei opened the door of the car and I lowered myself into the seat. Thank heavens, Sergei. Thank the heavens for your interjection there. I was about to lose my temper with this lady. The door closes behind me with a thud. The noise gets blocked out. As we started moving, some disgruntled protesters rushed towards us. I could hear shouts and jeers as their fists pounded against the glass windows. The guards sprang into action, pushing the unruly crowd back. It was a tense few moments before the convoy was able to navigate away from the tumult. Whew. I am glad we are safely on our way, Mr. President. Agreed, Sergei. Job well done by you and the team. We appreciate your acknowledgement, Mr. President. It's our duty and honour. The echoing voices of the protesters gradually subsided as we retreated from the scene and left Narbel behind. Well, nobody died. We're still alive. There's 7 news articles but no reports. So in the next session, we'll check. I'll probably check the news off camera and give you any sort of summary of the news, and then we shall press straight on with an order, a stability order. An order to stop the operations of destabilizing youth organizations. Is that one of those? Ooh. Actually, we can take this decision now. An investigation on the influence of the Young Swords and Red Youth organizations on the post-assassination unrest has concluded. Both organizations haven't officially organized or called for illegal actions, but several low to mid-level leaders from both have links to insightful actions that led to deaths, injuries, and instability. This allows us to ban the organizations. Ooh. Low to mid-level leaders. Oof. Okay, this is interesting. This is quite a decision here. If I was going to ban, I would ban all. I wouldn't ban one or the other. I'm going to ban both. I'm not going to be banning one more than the other. They're both as bad as each other, if you ask me. So it's either don't ban them or ban them both. I get a sneaking feeling that they will be angry. It would cause more issues in the long term, but ultimately I think it'd die down. I get the impression that, you know, these Young Swords and Red Youth in the past may well have been created, or, you know, for the best of reasons. We were part of the Red Youth at one point. But as things currently stand, everything that has come from anything to do with Red Youth or Young Swords has been nothing but problems. And I almost feel like perhaps that these groups now perhaps have lost their way a bit. And the purpose of these organisations perhaps has become much more to do with causing trouble than it has been to sorting things out. You know, we can't probably speak for all members, and there is a risk that it's the vocal minority within these organisations that are spoiling it for the others. But we're kind of going on the evidence, and this is after an investigation. So although they haven't officially organised or called for illegal actions, I mean, why would you officially do that anyway? It can't be unnoticed that several low to mid-level leaders. So you'd have to have a massive shake-up in those organisations for them to be turned around, and I doubt that's going to happen anytime soon. And we have masses of wide-scale unrest, buildings burnt down, we've got people being decapitated after being tortured, all this kind of stuff that has happened between the two groups. It's almost like if you can't get along, then you know what, forget it. If you can't play nicely, then you're not playing at all. You know, kind of like parenting style. You know, taking it, if you can't play with that properly without break, I'm taking it off you. Taking all your toys away from you until you learn better. And off you go. So, you know what? Controversial, perhaps, maybe, but we're going to ban them. We're going to ban them. You know, it's organisations, it's groups, mainly youth. Right-wing nationalist political organisation, connections to a number of armed attacks against the Swordish government, close ties to the National Front, a militant wing. These aren't words that are filling me with any confidence that we should allow this to continue. scholars have described it as a death squad. Mind you, that was in this time period. Okay, and the Red Youth. Underground organisation. Nah, ban them. That's ooh. That's probably a this is going to be like a human rights issue, is it? Is that classed as like? Oh, what? That has gone level. Look at that. Hang fire, folks. Right, this is going to cause some problems. Red Youth ban. To restore order and maintain social stability, an emergency decree has been enacted, declaring the Red Youth as an illegal criminal organisation. This decree mandates the immediate disbandment of the group and arrest of all its members. By taking decisive action against such organisations, the authorities aim to eliminate threats to public safety, deter unlawful activities, and uphold the rule of law. And the same with the Young Swords. Oh dear. Situation. Limited human rights. Security laws relatively strict. They are limiting certain rights and freedoms. But, at this moment in time, I think limiting this particular right for people to be joining these groups, we have to take strong action. We have to take strong action. So we have banned it. We have banned those groups. I don't think this growth is linked necessarily to that decision that we've just taken. I think this is probably to do with other decisions that we've made that might be coming and taking time to take effect. But ultimately, I mean, does this mean that we're not in a recession anymore? I don't know. Until it shows positive growth, I don't know, I'm not sure. But it's definitely not negative growth, so I think it went flat as soon as I clicked on ban both, but I think it's because we ticked over and ended the turn, because we've got 7 news articles now, so I think it's an end turn. And this is also projected by, yes, good point, it's projected economic growth. So yeah, who cares? It's definitely an improvement on what it was. That's all I care about. We've got 2 government, it's slightly going down. Oh, were the 7 news there before? Oh, okay. I had, but still, I'm not sure that the banning that would have had such a massive uptake on the projected growth. Or maybe it will if it's going to potentially stop the fighting. There are points hidden in the background that make it go up and down based on what you do. Okay, well, whatever it is, it's not what it was, and that's all that matters right now. So we have government budget times 2. We still probably have a conversation to be had with our health and education ministers, because we didn't commit to one or the other, did we? But if we had to commit to one or the other, because probably not going to be able to afford both, it's going to be to education, as per our manifesto promise. But we'll see what the next session brings, which will be probably next Sunday, because I've got my week in Birmingham. So yeah, I'm not going to be able to stream at all until next week, because tomorrow's going to be Belden's Gate. So Gaston is staying in business. We've got some investment coming in there, which I'm quite happy with, because it's kind of 50-50. So we've kind of still got a bit of planned economy in there, but we're just kind of opening it up nice and slowly to some foreign investment, and they're putting that back into the community of Nargis. So yeah, that's quite good. That's quite good. Don't forget, we've also got the improved tourism that we signed off on that bill for increased tourism. That's probably going to help the economy as well. So small little steps. And don't forget, when this comes into effect by the end of the year, we've got better Angland, highway routes. And if we do get that kind of trade and partnership with Agnolia, that kind of synergizes with that as well. So I think, again, not being biased here, but I think we're doing all right. We're still alive, and we've faced everything that we can head on. We've been to funerals, given speeches, we've just tackled angry workers on the steps of the building of Gasson there, and faced them down. talked to him plain, didn't shirk our responsibilities as president. And hopefully, yes, more growth means more budget, and we can keep, the vicious, that increase, pump it back into, and hopefully stimulate some economic growth. It'd be good. Oh, I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Right, anyway, go forth, folks. Have a good week. Have a good week. There's still plenty of time for this to go horribly wrong, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not commentators curse it just yet, please. But yeah, thanks for watching, and thanks for helping out where you have, and have a good week. Tomorrow, Baldur's Gate 3 coming your way, and then Alan Wake on Tuesday, recorded session of that. So, and then that'll be me until probably next weekend. But yeah, have a good week ahead, folks. Don't do anything I won't do. And yeah, until next time. See you soon.